Welcome to Don't Be Shady, the podcast where we keep it real about love, dating, and relationships. No sugarcoating, no games, just the raw truth about red flags, boundaries, healing, and everything in between. So grab your tea, take a deep breath, and let's get into it, because around here, we don't do shady. Welcome to Don't Be Shady. I am your host, Priscilla, and today I am excited to welcome Dr. Lily to the show. She represents Spark Offline, the leading matchmaking service, helping people build genuine, meaningful connections in real life. She's here to talk about how we can reignite sparks and date with intention. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. It's going to be a great topic. I'm excited to, dive in. So what do you think so many people struggle with to make connections in today's dating world?
I think they're looking for the wrong thing. A lot of people are, trying to find love online, and I don't think that that's a bad thing, but I think it creates a very 2D picture of a person, and the way that you present yourself and the way that you filter through the people that you're seeing online really affects the type of connections that you're going to have. And so I feel like people look for a lot of very superficial things, and it leads to superficial relationships.
Okay.
The same thing can happen in person too. If you're only looking at the outside, only looking to see if there is that spark, which of course is important to have some chemistry there, but if that's all you're looking for, then you're going to continue to have more superficial relationships rather than more meaningful and intentional ones.
That makes sense because, online dating comes with a lot of filters, a lot of pictures, a lot of representation, but it could be the wrong representation of who they are. 5 years ago, pictures that he used to work out, but when you meet him in person, what happens to that person that used to work out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
But even also the way that they present themselves in the responses that they have to prompts. So if they're only talking about very superficial things, maybe it's that they like tacos and tequila. That's a very common one on the dating apps. But if they're only talking about things that everybody can talk about, or their favorite show, that doesn't really tell you anything about who they are as a person. And so if you're only swiping because, they had a cute dog picture and they also like tacos and tequila, well, how much do you really know about that person? And if you don't know that much, you're going to end up on a lot of dates where you don't truly have a lot of similar values and similar life goals.
So it's going to be more like a superficial, I'm hanging out with my friend, but you're not really getting to the root of who they are.
Exactly.
Gotcha. What's the first step someone should take if they're ready to date with intention?
If they're dating with intention, then it's really important for them to know very clearly what it is that they want. A lot of people think that they know what they want. They want somebody that's loyal and honest and kind, but everybody wants that if you're looking for a relationship. So what really makes the person that you're looking for stand out from the rest of them? How do you want to actually feel within the relationship as well? Because a lot of people, they'll find a person that checks all of the boxes on paper, but maybe the relationship is unhealthy. Maybe they have a lot of anxiety because their partner also is showing little micro signs that maybe they're not faithful or not respectful of them. But they've put this person on a pedestal, so they think, they check all my boxes, they're this amazing person, but they don't feel good in the relationship, but they'll stay because they think that's what they want, when really they don't feel good, comfortable, peaceful, or secure in the relationship.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because I've encountered some friends that, he's a great provider, he cooks, he's this and that, but that part of it.
A huge but.
And I'm like, but I don't understand why you stay if you're not happy, So, that's for another episode. How do you help clients move past old relationship patterns? When they come to you guys, they're like, you know what, I'm fed up. I'm done with swiping. I cannot take it anymore. I've been on 5,000 dates with all these superficial human beings. It's time. I really want something real. What is it that you guys do differently than I don't know, some random dating swiping app? Like, what's the difference between you and them?
It kind of goes back to what I was just saying about getting one, very clear about what you want in a partner, also getting very clear about your values, your boundaries, and your deal breakers.
Okay.
So many people, they talk about boundaries and it's become kind of this, oh yeah, boundaries, whatever. We all know that you have to have them, but they're so important for guiding the way that you date. So I think that's a really important thing to have when you're trying to date intentionally, is being very clear about your boundaries and your deal breakers and making sure that you have aligned values and goals with the person that you are interested in.
Okay, so that leads me to this other question. So if, let's say I'm coming to you and I'm like, I'm 45 years old, I've already had my kids, and I want someone who values me as a person, loves me for me. I feel like those are kind of superficial because we really do we really know if we love someone for them, because that person could have some health issues that they're battling with. And I think, are those questions that you guys ask, are you, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, do you have high blood pressure? Do you take medications on a daily basis? Are these kind of things that you would answer? Because I know, people don't really talk about that when you're first getting to know them, right?
Right.
So for me, if I was dating and this person, let's say, had lupus, I would want to know that up front, because that's something that as a partner I'm going to have to really deal with and consider, because that's truly loving someone or wanting to be with someone for them.
Right.
So how do we, I guess, what are the things? Are those some things that you guys ask, or how does that kind of, because that's, for me, that's a deep dive. That's really getting to know somebody. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how big of a factor their health plays into their life.
Gotcha.
And also the type of people they're looking to attract. Are they very health conscious? Is it going to affect their lifestyle together? If it's that significant, then it's definitely something to talk about and address and figure out, okay, how are we going to navigate this when you meet a new person? Is it something that you're going to bring up on the first date, or are you going to just get to know the person a little bit before kind of explaining some of your health issues? If it's something like high blood pressure, where maybe it doesn't affect them as much as an autoimmune condition like lupus, then maybe it's not that important to bring up, or maybe they're not even self-conscious about it. It really comes down to the person. And then also, if they do have a lot of insecurity around having X health condition, then we need to also work on, okay, what is the belief behind this that is driving that? Do you feel not enough because you have this health condition? And how is that showing up in the way that you present yourself in dating and show up for your partner? And that also kind of goes back to the other question that I didn't quite answer, was how do you move forward in dating when you've had maybe some unhealthy relationships in the past? And to me, it really comes down to your subconscious beliefs, which come from your past experiences. Some people like to call this trauma, that we picked up oftentimes in childhood, or sometimes in past relationships as well. And what leads us to attract unhealthy partners are these subconscious limiting beliefs that we've acquired throughout our life. A lot of times that comes down to, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not deserving of love. Maybe there's fear of being seen or fear of vulnerability, and really diving into, why do we have these fears? Are these beliefs true? How do we move forward in dating and love ourselves without these beliefs? What does it look like to feel really confident, authentically confident in ourselves? And then how can we show up like that when we're dating?
That makes sense. What are the common mistakes you see people making when they're dating offline?
Offline specifically? That's a good question. I would say
Because I know swiping, and just from my own experience, I've never really dated online till recent. Well, actually, I never really did. I was just looking. I was I'm curious because I've never dated.
Yeah.
So I went on this app, and I did all the things or whatever. And I got a lot of hits, great, whatever. But the conversations were very dry, very like, I never even went on there. I hated it. But you could tell they were superficial. That's the word I'm looking for. Very superficial.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people just wanted a hookup. And, you know, I can respect that, especially if I'm meeting you for the first time or you're wanting to meet me and you're saying that's what you want. I know what the expectation is. But that's not what I was there for. So that definitely didn't work for me. But I also see the difference in meeting somebody offline, like at a grocery store or through a friend, you know, the same, like, oh, I have a friend, they can hook you up with a friend, that type of thing. Like that still exists. Because I still have friends trying to do it to me. And I'm like, no, please don't do it. I'm okay. But it's like, I think that just generally meeting somebody is great. But I also realize that once I allow them to give me time, like let's say 90 days, right? I'm getting to know this person. I'm talking to this person. And after usually 90 days, I'm like, ugh. I get the ugh.
The ick.
Yeah, and it's not like a bad thing. It's just like, ugh. Like, no, they're not for me in that way. And I noticed that when I try to say I just want to be friends or this isn't really working out for me, it's harder. I wouldn't say easier. It's harder to get rid of somebody that you've built a relationship face to face versus somebody that's online, because you can just essentially ghost them, right? And not answer the call, not pick up the text, nothing, right? But this is somebody that's your friend that you've built a friendship with. Even though you're saying no, they're thinking, well, if I just give her more time, she'll say yes. But as a woman, once we make up our mind about a specific relationship, what it's going to be, whether it's going to be romantic or casual or friends, that's what the relationship is going to be. And there's no changing our minds.
Right.
Unless like some miracles happen, you know, and something dramatic happens and I see them in this new brave blink of, I don't know what just happened. Something blew up in my face. I'm like, ooh, I see them differently. No. If I'm saying you're a friend, you've been zoned. As my friend, right? If I see you as someone that I can see on a Friday night, then that's the Friday night friend. If you're the person I'm like, you know, I see potential. I'm not waiting for potential. I'm just going to watch you from the side.
Right.
Because we can't fall in love with that.
Yeah.
I have to see results. So I feel like maybe the offline thing, maybe we need help with that, because I know sometimes like the navigating from online to offline can be very different, just from my own experience, I find. And it's just easier to delete the app and move on with my life.
Yeah.
And none of those people know me, and we don't ever have to talk again, versus, you know, someone that I met in person. So would you agree with some of the things I mentioned, like with offline type of dating?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Definitely. Online, especially if you haven't met them in person before, it's so easy to just not respond. Right. Because at that point, they don't feel like a full, well-rounded, like human being. You don't really know them. They don't really exist in the same way as if you'd met somebody in person. And if you've only exchanged a few messages, then it's really no big deal if you don't respond.
Right.
Because also when you're online, everybody knows that you're talking to multiple people. In general, I try to say that how you practice is how you perform. So say you've actually been going on dates with somebody for a little bit and you realize, oh, this is someone that I'm not actually serious about, or I don't see a future with. Even if it's somebody that you think, oh, we can just date casually and it doesn't matter that much, I would still say show up how you would like to perform with somebody who you actually see long-term potential with. And what I mean by that is don't just ghost them, because then you're practicing avoidance. And if you practice being a little bit uncomfortable and being honest and sharing that, you know, you don't see something long-term or serious with them and giving them that respect, then you're practicing exercising being uncomfortable and showing somebody else respect in your life.
I love that, because those conversations are so uncomfortable. They are like it. Yeah, I hate having those conversations, and it's so crazy because it's like I'm practicing like, okay, look, I just want to be friends. I don't see you in that way. It's like you're having like this whole like speech before you get to them because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But at the same time, like you want to be upfront and you want to be honest because you don't want to build your relationship that could be like that person could be a long-term friend. They could, and maybe they're like a connection that, you know, maybe they do really good at, I don't know, building things or concrete or whatever it may be, hanging up cameras, whatever it may be. Maybe they have a skill set that you could use at a later date. And it's not like as a bad thing, but I know so many people who do so many things and we're all friends. We all, you know, network and know each other. Doesn't mean I need to be in a relationship with any of them. You know what I mean? But that conversation, like you mentioned, it's uncomfortable. I don't even think it matters how many times I try to break the news. It's still uncomfortable.
Yes.
For every single person that I've had that conversation with. You know, someone has said that to me and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I appreciate that. So I want to reciprocate the same respect back. That this just isn't really going the way that you want it to go, or maybe we thought it would. But, you know, I do value as a person and on a friend. And if we can continue to be friends, I'm fine with that. But I've also realized that some men cannot be friends with women. So then I'm like, oh God, how do I navigate that now? So, cause you know, me and you, like if we see a friend, like me and you are girlfriends, we gossip, we talk, we treat our male friends the same way. We'll call them, talk to them on the phone and gossip and tell them about our day and about this guy we're dating. I doubt they want to hear that. But if we classify them as friends, that's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy. Dating is such it's not black and white.
No, it's not. And a lot of people try to make it that way. They say things like, if he wanted to, he would. And I think that's a problematic statement also.
Explain a little bit why.
Because it's not as simple as that. Sometimes people just have a lot going on. Sometimes they don't have the capacity to do the things that you desire. Sometimes they don't even know that you have an expectation or a desire. So how can they do that? Other times, like the nervous system is just so overwhelmed. And so they truly are unable to show up even for themselves sometimes. So how can they show up for you? And it doesn't mean that they don't care about you. It just means that they're not in the mental, emotional, or physical state to be able to do that.
That makes sense. I do appreciate you saying that because I do a lot. I work a full-time job. I podcast. I burlesque. What else do I do? Oh, I do insurance. You don't have to die to use. Like I network. I'm busy, busy, busy. And I was just telling a friend, I was like, I need a maid. I need somebody to come clean my house every day. I was like, I need somebody to come do my laundry because I'm looking at this pile of clothes and I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get to it. Like, it's just adding something else to my plate would be ridiculously hard. Because I have had men tell me, well, if you wanted to hang out with me, you would. Well, number one, I don't hang out at 10 o'clock at night.
Right. We don't like hangouts, especially in early dating.
Why? Why? I don't like the bar. I don't like the club. It's not what I do. I'll do it occasionally, like on a friend's birthday or something, but it has to be an occasion, something that's already planned. But for me, if I'm trying to get to know you, I'm not going with you to a bar. We're not drinking. Well, you can drink, but I will not. Like, I'm trying to genuinely get to know who you are. And for me, if that's what you do, that's not my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to succumb to what you want when it doesn't align with me. Because I don't want a man who's in the club all the time, who's at the bar all night. Like, that's disgusting. That's like 20-year-old behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great like filter for you too, to filter out the men that aren't right for you. Sometimes people get sad that like, oh, all these men, they just want to meet at the bar, or they just want to hook up, and I feel not enough because that's all they want. But really, that's actually a place of empowerment because you're able to filter through them and get closer to the one that you actually do want. So you can easily say, nope, that's not the man for me, and then keep moving.
Agreed. But sometimes they kind of make you feel like, oh, you don't want me, but I'm working. And I understand that. That's your job. Just that's not the job for a man that I want to be with.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be in the bar and be DJ and party all the time, that's wonderful. That's your lifestyle. I feel like maybe you should find a girl that doesn't want to be in bed at 10 o'clock. Because I need my beauty sleep. I want to relax. I want to watch my shows. You know, I just want to curl up and just relax for the evening. Like, I cannot fathom. If it's at like a networking event where I'm meeting people, that's completely different.
Yeah.
But if I'm going there to like meet, hang out, get to know somebody, number one, it's loud. How can I really get to know you? Like, we're screaming at each other. And then there's alcohol involved. And sometimes alcohol brings out feelings that aren't even real.
Right.
So then I would just be doing myself a disservice. So I feel that.
Yeah. You sound very strong in knowing what you want and having that boundary, which is amazing. So,
you know, I haven't always had these boundaries, and to be honest with you, I didn't even know what the hell a boundary was. Because when you're with somebody for so long, because I was in a marriage for 13 years, you don't really, it's kind of like you kind of conform to the relationship that you're in. You like grow together. You even like foods that you wouldn't normally like, they're eating it, so you want to try it. After you try it a few times, you're like, oh, maybe this isn't so bad. This is kind of good, you know, like a salad. Like, my husband would never eat salads.
Right.
Like, he was like, this is disgusting. That's bird, rabbit food. But I'm always eating a salad, but they would always take a bite of my salad. And now they're ordering a salad. You just kind of start doing those things when you're in that type of a relationship.
yeah.
But, you know, I didn't really realize what that was until I left that relationship and kind of started venturing on my own. And I was like, I don't like that. Oh no, that's not for me. Or I experience it and I'm like, oh hell no, never again. It just kind of, I think with experience, you start to realize what you like and don't like and what you won't put up with and what you, broken me put up with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Healed me, no way. There's no way. So I think dating offline is a wonderful concept. You know, meeting somebody even if it's meeting somebody at a grocery store, I want to see what type of food they're ordering. Like they're not ordering, but, you know, picking.
Yeah.
But so when somebody, like for myself, if I were to call you and be like, hey, you know what, like I mentioned before, I'm fed up, I'm ready. Like, how do you find my match? Do I have to fill out a questionnaire? Like, how does that work? Do you know?
Yeah, there's a whole vetting process. There is an application and some questions, and Karen will have like an interview and just really get to know you and assess whether you're ready for the service as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because if they are coming from a very unhealed place, well, then they're not going to have a healthy match with anybody.
Yes.
So at that point, then they can come to me, get some coaching, do some inner child work and healing past trauma, subconscious beliefs, so that they are in a much healthier, stronger, confident place to be able to actually have a healthy relationship.
So they're savable.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I think everybody is savable.
I think so, too.
Yes. If they're ready and willing to put in that work, then 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm pretty sure that you guys have vetted people and you're like, you're not quite ready. Let's scoot you over here to Dr. Lily and she'll get you all ready. So is there like a process that you take them through? Like, do you have a questionnaire? Like, what is your process?
Yes, I do have an application to work with me. But then from there, if it is a good fit, then we really get clear on those 4 things that I mentioned earlier:
Gotcha.
Boundaries, deal breakers, values, and what you're looking for in a partner.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the first step. And then really digging deeper into those subconscious beliefs, because I truly believe that runs everything. And that's why people end up in the unhealthy relationships, because they feel like they're not enough and they tend towards either like an anxious attachment style or an avoidant, or maybe a combo, the fearful avoidant. Even if they're not super far on one end of the spectrum or another, it's important to recognize when we're starting to avoid emotions or avoid confrontation or being uncomfortable in order to have a healthy relationship.
You know, I'm the queen of avoidance.
Are you?
The queen. And it's not, I don't think that I realized I was doing it until later. So how it will work, like, so let's say there's a uncomfortable conversation, or maybe somebody says something to me. I won't react to it right away because I don't really react. I'll let it sit. And then it could be a month. It can be 2 months. It could be 3 months. And this is where I'm like, did I just avoid that conversation? Or did I decide not to deal with it at that time? So it's either one or the other. To me, it's the same crap, but I'll deal with it. It's just later. And something usually will happen and it'll trigger what just happened. And then I'm dealing with it and I'm like, why didn't I deal with it then? Probably because I'm so busy. I'm like, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z right here. I'll deal with this later.
Right.
So I'll just shove it away, file it in a folder later, and then I'll forget about it. So I feel like I didn't avoid it. I just put it on a shelf,
Right.
on a folder somewhere, right? And then something else will happen, and all of a sudden that folder gets pulled back out. And I'm like, usually what happens, what I find is I'm pissed because one, I didn't deal with it at the time, but it came back up in something else. But if I would have just dealt with it then that's something else wouldn't have affected me the way that it did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go back and forth. But I've just realized that about myself. And now that I'm aware of it, I try very, very hard to deal with it when it happens. Like, we need to have this conversation. Even if it's not today, let's schedule a time when you're not busy and I'm not busy, and let's talk about it.
Yes.
Because life is busy and sometimes you can't deal with things right then and there. And it's okay, but don't avoid it.
Right. Yeah. Having that time, the date that you're actually going to face it is really important. And it's good for whoever you're interacting with too. Because maybe they feel like they got left on red or they got ghosted or it feels like something's unfinished. And maybe to them, it does feel like you're completely avoiding them because you're not communicating that, like, I'm busy right now, but I can get to this at this time. And that also really helps to regulate the other person if they tend to be more anxious or codependent, especially if they're with somebody that tends to be more avoidant.
Yeah, because that makes sense because... No, I want to talk about it now. And me, no, we'll talk about it later. Or at least give me an hour. I want to process. I want to make sure that I don't say things while I'm upset.
Yeah.
Because the things that you would say upset are not the same things that you'll say when you're not. Because we could be vicious.
Yeah, and it's totally fair for you to want to take some time to process it, even if the other person is like, I want to talk about this right now. If you need to take that space, that's okay. But it's healthiest to communicate the space that you need and when you can come back together to have that conversation.
Oh, I love this conversation. We could have this conversation forever. You're such an amazing guest. Like, I love this. I think that the offline, collaboration that you have with Spark Offline is beautiful. I think it's going to help so many amazing people find real love. From what I hear, there's like a third wedding that you guys, or maybe Karen was invited to. I mean, that's beautiful. That means it works. That means people are really finding love offline.
Yeah, absolutely.
And getting married.
That's amazing.
Agreed.
And they're like healthier relationships than you would find if you're just swiping here and there and not truly doing all the work to figure out who it is and what it is that you want and making sure that you're actually compatible for the long term.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much for, coming on my show and having this amazing conversation. If you haven't heard already, it is Spark Offline. Finding Love. Elaborate. Tell me what it's called again.
It's called, yes, Spark Offline, Finding Love Offline.
There you go. You got it. So if you are interested and you are looking to find love, like real connection, and you're sick of the apps, you're sick of the hookup culture, you're sick of swiping left and right and tired of the common ghosting, hookup, I'm done with this culture, definitely go to sparkoffline.com. And you can definitely find your love and your match there. I recommend going there and doing the work, doing the things that you need to do to get yourself that love. Because I know that it's easy to love somebody, harder to fall in love, and even harder to stay in love. That's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for joining. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, don't be shady. All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Don't Be Shady. If you laughed, nodded, or said, even once, Go ahead and follow, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Slide into my DMs on Instagram and let's keep the convo going. And remember, keep it cute, keep it classy, and don't be shady.